So once again with this card we're going to be working from dark to light. So the darkest part is these little tiny bits with the rocks. All right, so we have our tape backing off. We're going to work with the lightest color first on this one. And all I'm doing is I'm going to dip my brush in here and I'm putting the darker color at the bottom of the waves. If some goes on the top of the next wave, I'm not worrying about it. It's just to get some color change in the water, just to make it look a little bit more interesting. If you only had one color of blue and wanted to do it just one color of blue, absolutely you can just do one color of blue. And by doing this with a brush, I'm only getting little bits on my brush, so I'm not getting a lot of excess powder on my piece here. There we go. So I don't want to brush that off just because there's a lot of tape exposed there. So I'm going to just going to clean that off a second. And then this one here, I'm going to burnish this just to make sure that I don't have any loose powders. Because these are two blues, if I get a tiny little bit of that dark blue, like a few granules of that dark blue in with my lighter blue, I don't really worry too much about it. The chances of someone actually being able to see that are really next to nil. There, I love those two lighter blues, lighter, brighter blues for that water there. Not to say there was anything wrong with that darker one that I used before. At that point, that was the only, those were the only blues that I had. And I just wanted to have a little bit of color contrast in my water. All right, let's emboss. All right, we're gonna do the colors for the sky. And once again, I'm just taking it, I'm just gonna be using my brush. And I'm not trying to get necessarily stripes of each color. So I wanna have some thinner areas and some thicker areas. Basically, I'm just trying to transition through all of the colors to make it look a little bit sunrise-y, sunset-y. Anything that, any excess powder, rather than having it on my tape backing there, I'm just pushing it into the tape. And this is a technique that I've done with glitter as well before. And it's fun to do too, especially like if you're doing flowers and the petals are a little bit bigger, it's funner to have a bit of a color transition from dark to light or light to dark or whatever, or different colors, complementing colors. Now I'm going to do some orange. This is the new Saltwater Taffy color, and I think it's so pretty. It's a corally color, but it's just a really pale corally color. So for this, I think it makes a really pretty addition to the sunrise, sunset. I haven't decided what it is. And the nice thing about using a small brush is by doing this, I am making sure that it's got some good contact with the tape. Now let's go to our pink. I typically tap my containers before opening it because I find the containers that I have a hard time closing again are the ones where I haven't done that, and I have a little bit of the embossing powder kind of stuck in the grooves or the threads of the lid. So just something to keep in mind and watch out for. You could do something similar to this with regular embossing powder. The only thing is because regular embossing powder, for the most part, unless you happen to have some that is translucent, the look would be a little bit different because of the translucency. All right, so I'm going to burnish this, and then I'm going to take away the rest of the blue pieces and add the blue to that, and then just emboss it all at once. So by burnishing this, I'm making sure that everything has some good contact with the tape. Tapping the excess off. I only have a little bit of powder here, but I'm going to get rid of it. And now let's take the rest off. This particular die is definitely a lot easier than the other ones for the most part because the pieces are a lot bigger, other than the little window pieces here. So the backing pieces come off so much quicker because they're so much bigger. Because I don't have to worry about contamination, I'm just putting it right back in the container, and then let's get a new piece of backing and burnish. If there's a spot there that's lighter, you can just put your plastic or your backing over top of that. You get pieces of tape or pieces of the embossing powder stuck on here, so you don't necessarily need to grab some more. You can just go from the tape over. There we go. Let's close this up. And then the rest of it, I'm just going to let you watch it. I'm going to melt this first, then I'm going to take the yellow parts off. I am going to cut so that I have clear edges for my yellow, and then lastly I'm going to add the glitter.